I'm going to have a little introduction about Teilhard's pattern, and then what my input will be about in June, the second part of it, will be that detail and what Reason said there about, I know that there is this vital energy, vital impulse in the whole world and in us, which is love expressing, coming up from within us. And in the cycles of our life, it's ahead of us. So there's a lot more detail in my input in June on the 3rd, Monday or Tuesday, depending on where you live, of June. So now a bit of background about how it is that I see Teilhard's naming of these energies in the universe as applicable to us. So to begin, there's a more than us energy that we all experience that operates in the realm of mystery. So I'm just giving about a half a minute for you to name mystery in your life. Now, for all of us, I'm naming 3 that we experience. They may not be the ones that came to you. That doesn't matter because mystery is so expansive, really. So if you do a quick scan after this of your life, you'll find that you've had 3 questions that come up in different forms for you. Who am I? What's my purpose? Who am I becoming? Now, you didn't generate those in your head. They came from somewhere. And that somewhere is described by Teilhard as that vital impulse of energy within us. Another area of mystery that we all experience. How is it that we can stand upright on Earth, an Earth which is spinning and moving all the time? Another area of mystery is what makes the star patterns change. I live in Australia, and so I can look up at one time of the year, and there's what is significant for us as a star pattern, the Southern Cross. At another time of the year, I look up and it's in a different place. Seasons change. Summer, autumn, winter, spring. We haven't got any say about that. Another thing, if you're near the ocean, whichever ocean in the world you're near to, the tides come in and out. What's setting that all in motion and keeping it in motion with differences? So, mystery. And I believe that Teilhard really gave us a little more insight into the edge of mystery. I just have to pause to find the right order of my notes here. Here we are. I found number 2. So, in summary, for the end, For me, there are three phrases that Teilhard used that encapsulates how these mysterious energies operative in the universe and in us brought new understanding that hadn't been named in the particular way Teilhard named them. Vital impulse of love that is operating within and ahead of everything, the universe, the tides, the seasons, and within us. And so my presentation in June will be delving into the within us as human beings, how God generates the patterns, is with us when we go out of balance, love within, and is ahead of us in the cycles of life, bringing us to a knowing of ourselves, a knowing our purpose, those three questions, and our becoming more of who we are capable of becoming. And those three experiences in our lives bring happiness, peace, inner freedom, and healing. So just a little bit more before I do some detail of that now, of what I'm going to present in June. A little bit about Teilhard. Well, Teilhard was a paleontologist, and I had to look up what that means. And that's a scientist who studies the history of life on Earth through the fossil records. He was a Jesuit priest. He was also a stretcher bearer in the First World War. And as I read the story of Teilhard, one thing really stands out for me. His personal deep contemplation of the triple framework of being a scientist, a Catholic priest with theological frameworks to his life, and they're working in the midst of the horrors of war. What impresses me about it is that he had hope. And I kind of hang on to that because in our present world, with all the wars that are going on, it's difficult for me personally to have it. I haven't got it, but if he could have it, well, it's possible for me, but I haven't got there yet. But as well as having hope, it was a significant part of how Teilhard saw religion, science, and spirituality as being the one thing with a different flavour, interconnected, and really, really saw the interconnectedness of everything and the evolving quality of everything. Now, his naming in the beginning was so foreign that it caused disturbances. Disturbances of the quality of Galileo. In the 1500s, the telescope had been discovered a little bit before. And when Galileo said that the Earth orbited the sun, that was such a shock to the people of his time, and the Inquisition existed at that time. And what he was saying for the people in the Inquisition, they felt that it wasn't consonant with the Old Testament, some of the Old Testament. And so for the last 10 years of his life, Galileo was in house arrest. Now, I use that example because what Teilhard was presenting was also very different from the mindset that existed generally. And so, like when I was in primary school for us, grade school for some other people, there were certainly printed and shown that there were the rocks, then the plants, then the animals, and it was even presented as an apex, human beings. So if that was the framework for existence, well, then that puts man in charge. So we were there to modify the universe. And how different it was for the indigenous people. They saw themselves as in unity with all of these natural and with the universe evolving, with nature. They saw them as carers, saw themselves as carers of nature, as nature working in tandem with them. Now, since Teilhard presented his understandings of interconnectedness and evolving in a different way from the way it had been ever presented before, the unity of science and religion and spirituality, the equivalent happened for him. The Catholic Church had squinty eyes on this version of theology. His order silenced him. He wasn't able to publish anything. However, he kept on going. And thank goodness, there are many scholars now who expand on this profound relationship between religious concepts, scientific realities, and the interconnectedness of everything. So now I'm moving to how that is in reality as a giving us a little more information on the edges of mystery. So I'm going to a pattern in the universe. And this information that I'm saying about the universe is what Judy Canato gathered together in an article in Presence in 2014. And she was quoting the scientists, and she was writing about how the understandings of science were connected with our spirituality. And because it's Spiritual Directors International, how the people who read that journal are supporting others in deepening their spirituality. So, in the universe, according to Judy, and she's quoting scientists, all of the planets, all of the stars, altogether make up about 4% of the universe. And astronomers have been able to calculate that there's an energy which holds them, all these movement patterns of the planets and the development of the stars, the birthing of them, the living of them, the dying of them. All of that is about a dark energy that can be sensed by human beings that holds them in balance. And that's about 22% of the universe. And as well as that, this is in 2014, quoting that article, there's an expansion of the universe. And there's another energy which can't be sensed by the instruments that we have at present. And that expansion of the universe is at 66,000 miles per second. Now, I'm not a scientist, so that may have increased or whatever, but at some stage since 2000, the expansion was named as 66,000 miles per second of the universe expanding. And the expansion of what can be perceived in the outer universe is, or the cross that can be perceived is, I'm pausing because I can't remember whether it's, anyway, it's billions of light years away. I've forgotten the number. It's I don't know whether it's 100 or 1,000, but anyway, it's beyond comprehension how wide, and this universe is expanding. But the point that's about this vital energy of love is holding all these moving elements of the earth and the stars and the planets, all holding them in their patterns. But at the same time, that's gravity. But at the same time, there's another bigger love energy, which is preventing them in the expansion from flying apart. So that's one mind-boggling thing. And really, when we come to us, it's not quite as mind-boggling as that, but it's still amazing. Within us, there's an inherent holding in balance in our life and living. And so in June, I will be spending time on exploring the human experience of how our conscious and unconscious realities interact with each other. And the arising from the unconscious is initiated by a vital impulse of love energy. And it comes to us in the form of inner invitations for growth. And when we look at the cycles of our life, there's a caring for us ahead of what we could possibly imagine. And now I'm going to share a screen. And it'll just take me a little while to actually manage that. And Ruth, you can help me if I get stuck. So here we are. So take this image as an image of you and me and everyone. The outside rim is our consciousness. But within us, we have preferences, desires, and choices. We also have instincts for survival, comfort, and safety. Now, I highlighted instincts because they operate without us initiating them. And there are times when these instincts in operation without pause lead to an imbalance of behavior, attitudes, values, and relating. I'm just giving an example. So, if someone invades my sense of independence, which is my red spot, immediately there's a, I don't like that. Now, if I let that just go, it'll get loaded out onto other people. So there's an importance about pausing. I won't go more about that, but one needs to pause. Do I need to respect the other? Do I need to do it with due process or whatever? So pausing is really important. And it's in that pausing that God leads us to more balanced decisions. And if you keep on letting your instincts of being invaded or treated unfairly or all of those things, you'll come to imbalance. And in life, we all have some things that go into imbalance as we cope with the difficulties of life. And love within gives us those little taps, I call them taps on the shoulders, or a little quiet voice which is saying, oh, that's a lot of negative energy or whatever. So looking at the image itself, we've got decision making, and see the hands up. And up the top, it looks like, for me, a benign figure caring for us. And in the middle is a white space. That's the potential we have to become our best self. And there is an urge within us to be more than we are at present, however that comes out.
Excuse me, Lucy, when we're not getting the picture.
Oh, okay. Ruthie, can you help?
Can you move to the next slide, Lucy?
Yes, I'll go to the next slide.
Yeah. Now we see enticing.
Whoever asked the voice, can you see it now? I can't.
That was me, Lucy, Elena. I thought you said you had the hands picture, but
oh no, I just meant the hands at the bottom of the image. The hands are raised at the bottom of the image.
No, we've just got the self-encounter eye.
Right. In that, when you see that it looks like a person holding the hand, do you see that
down
image
at the bottom of that circle?
Oh, I see what you mean. Right.
Yes, and then up at the top. Thank you, Alana, for asking the question. Okay. But I was about to move. I'll just pause, seeing we had that little break. Within us, there are all these energies. And that inner invitations that can be found when we pause, mostly in disturbance, but other ways as well. That's what Tired was talking about that impulse of love, which is leading us to bring things back to balance. And in June, I'll be doing that in much more detail. Now, that invitation which comes to us, it's very inviting. So you can see the energy there. It's a strong energy, and there's that love within us wants us to be as balanced and as healed, which is my next bit. Okay, so there's an enticing with love. Now, for me, enticing is not strong enough. As I reflect on my journey, I call it being seduced with love. I didn't put seduced there because seduced has a negative context in our society. But for me, seducing is it's got a positive meaning too. Seducing is, God, they're begging for me, wanting the best for me. I just share that bit. Now, there's also healing. For all of us, there's something in many things, but something in particular which is not perfect for us. And we have ways of coping. And as we cope in crises, there's emotional residue goes into the unconscious so that the energy we need can deal with the crisis. However, the emotional residue will come up later in our life when we're able to deal with it. So I'll have a lot more to say about that in June. So healing happens when crises are in our life, we get enough energy to cope with it now, but the emotional residue, God will invite us through those inner invitations when we're able to cope later on in life. And the final thing is that really through pausing and finding the invitations and making the decisions that are for growth, we're co-sculpting who we are becoming. And that's fulfilling our dream and the dream of this vital impulse of love for us. And so these 4 diagrams for me name the equivalent in human experience of the gravitational and anti-gravitational forces in the universe. We are constantly and consistently being invited to balance what has gone out of balance in our behaviour, attitudes, values, and relating through invitations for growth.